I'm Vuokko, I'm a design director at Monzo. I manage our product designers, and I'm also responsible for design across our core and growth product areas and our revenue initiatives. Does this work? All right, cool. Out of curiosity, how many people here have a Monzo card, just so I know? Okay, pretty good. Cool. Before I start, I thought I'd do just a brief intro to Monzo in general before we get going. So basically, for those of you who don't know, Monzo is a bank that lives in your phone. You can download the app, sign up in minutes, and then the next day you'll get the hot Coral debit card delivered to your house. And you can get your salary paid in, you can budget, you can put money aside, split bills with friends, and a lot of other things. And we're built on top of our own modern systems from the ground up, so we can do really nice things like these kind of instant transaction notifications and a lot of other things. So I feel like often my phone buzzes before the cash register does. I think that's very cool. And brief history of Monzo. I thought it'd be good to start with kind of where we come from and kind of how fast we've grown, to give you some context. So we were originally called Mondo. We were founded 4 years ago in London. Spring of 2015, and then a year after that we launched our prepaid debit card program, which was kind of like an alpha program while we were applying for a banking license to kind of just build a product out in the open and learn about our users and the market, kind of while we were doing a lot of other work behind the scenes. And then finally a year later, so 2 years ago now, we got our full UK banking license. And then that let us build current accounts for our users, and we spent some time doing that. And the functionality is all there now, and we're pretty happy, but this is kind of just the starting point. So we talk about being at base camp and wanting to go a lot higher, but we have the functionality now. And this is where we are now. I think the last time I did a big talk was in October, and I looked at my notes from that deck, and basically both of these numbers have doubled since October. So in October we had 400 employees and about 1 million customers, and now we have 800 employees and 1,780,000 customers as of this week. I think we're the fastest growing UK bank at the moment. We're adding about 28,000 bank accounts every week right now. So NPS scores you mentioned. We have a high one. We're really proud of that number. Our customers love us. So this is something that we track and really care about. And I was looking up some more detail into this before the talk, and I noticed that actually our customers who use our overdraft feature have a higher NPS score than the average, which I think is really cool because overdrafts generally aren't the best banking experience for customers. But enough about that. Let's talk about what we do. So this is our mission statement. So we basically want to fix money everywhere, and so there's a lot to do. And to get there, we focus on building smart features and really relentlessly focusing on customer needs. And first of all, finding out what they are, and then focusing on fixing them. And then just unexpectedly friendly customer service, which if you know Monzo, you'll hopefully have experienced yourself. This was our design team a few weeks ago. We had a social. We went to play shuffleboard. We're now over 20 product designers, visual designers, and user researchers. And every product designer is embedded into an independent product squad. So we use the Spotify model where each squad has a product manager, product designer, iOS, Android engineers, backend engineers, data compliance, basically everyone you need to make decisions and move fast. And just for comparison, so this is us now. This was us in September last year, so it hasn't been that long, so we've grown very fast. I wanted to also visualize kind of our growth. So I've been at Monzo 2 years now. So when I started, we were 90 people in the company, and there were 4 designers. And then in September, we were 12 designers and 400 people in the company. So this is September, and this is today. So we have 27 designers and 800 people. Somehow, miraculously, the ratio has kind of stayed the same. We've worked hard on keeping it that way. So I was originally, I think the title of my talk is Building a World-Class Design Team, and I wanted to talk about how we've hired and built the team and leveled everyone up and leveled up the quality of our design. But I thought it would actually be more interesting to focus on how we do product and kind of how our designers actually do amazing work and make a difference through what they do in the product squads. So I'm going to talk about how we work in the squads and how we explore ideas and validate them and kind of how we bring it all together into one amazing experience. And the key things we focus on as product designers at Monzo is we explore ideas before committing to them. We validate and test ideas and hypotheses, and then kind of bridge we work both on the short-term iteration, obviously, but also keep an eye on the long-term vision, and then we bring it all together into one package. So I'm gonna talk about kind of the things that go into those, starting with exploration, which is huge for us. So when talking about exploration, I think research is obviously a big one. And we have one dedicated user researcher per product area now, so we have a lot of focus on that, and they're very involved with each squad. So when we talk about research, it's obviously a lot more than just usability testing or kind of seeing how people react to the ideas we've already had, but it's also about explorative research and discovering user needs or uncovering these insights that we had no idea were there. And it goes without saying that the earlier we bring user research into the process, the kind of we can find the meaningful direction earlier, and that'll help us a lot. So they're heavily involved, and we all get involved as well. I took a quick scan last night of we use a tool called Notion, and we have an amazing user research database that everyone in the company can access, and there's filters. You can filter by topic or by kind of customer or research method and different times, and it's amazing. And so because we didn't have enough user research at one point, the ones we had did a lot of work to kind of share the knowledge and make toolkits so everyone could go out and do their own research, but also that anyone who joins Monzo can kind of quickly get up to speed and just read through this amazing database and learn all about our users and the things we've learned so far. So these are some of the methods we've used, but there's plenty more. So the second one that I wanted to mention that is really vital for us in terms of exploration is obviously design exploration. So the way ideas come together at Monzo, it's not the PM or any one person who comes up with an idea. It's really collaborative, and I guess that's the case in a lot of places, but at Monzo I feel like it truly is. But still, I think design is in a really powerful position because as designers, by working by ourselves or together with other people, we can kind of take all the ideas that everyone has in their heads and put them together and see how they all fit and feel together, and then everyone can kind of see that, and we can take it forward and then get everyone on the same page and working towards the same vision. I feel like that's the superpower of design, is taking all those loose ideas and making them tangible. And it's really difficult to find time for this, to be honest. We work really fast. We have weekly release trains. We put things out very often. But it's still every squad aims to do this, is put aside time to dream together and give the designer space to do that exploration, because it can really make a difference to kind of step back and see what are we actually doing. We've also invested in design studio area with whiteboard walls and kind of space, because each designer is embedded in a squad. They work in a multidisciplinary team, which is great, but then we also come together to work with other designers every now and then, regularly. I couldn't find a better photo. We don't always look at our laptops. It's actually a collaboration area, but it's there. And finally, when I wanted to mention in terms of exploration is scouting. It's something we do a lot now because, like I said, we built the basic functionality of a bank account, and now we want to go much further. So there's a lot of new ideas that we're going after. So one thing we do before we get a full stack squad working on a problem, which is quite expensive, we'll have one or two people go after an idea for a handful of weeks or a handful of months, and they'll kind of see, explore the problem space and the the area there and see if there's enough there to go after, and then they'll come back with a proposal to either go after it or to drop it. And it's obvious that anything new we build, it needs to make business sense, but there's actually a lot more to it than that. So what I like to think about is like a classic Venn diagram when thinking about scouting. So it's kind of finding where that overlap is, where there's like a genuine user need that we could meet, and then if we can make a business model to make it work, and then if the overlap is like kind of large enough that it's worth building and then maintaining, obviously, because we can't just build a lot of things and leave them behind. So it's kind of finding that overlap is the key, which is what the scouts do. And anyone can be a scout, it can be a designer, it can be a commercial person, an engineer. We all really care about like exploring these user problem spaces and kind of finding out where we could help. So everything we do kind of starts as an experiment. We don't do any like huge work and then put it out in the world. Everything starts small. And obviously, we'll talk about MVPs. So usually we'll release an MVP, like a minimum viable product, and then start learning if we're working towards the right thing. And we aim to add some Monzo magic, like right from the start, just like some delight, because that kind of heavily affects how the feature will be perceived. So if we just put out something that's really not there yet, then we will only learn that it wasn't there yet. So everything we put out, we want it to feel considered, and it doesn't need to be a lot of work. It can still be minimal. It like just kind of being considerate of our users. It doesn't take that much more work than it would otherwise. And then the viable part, we obviously need to make the correct learnings in order to make the right informed decisions. So we talk a lot about what we're actually measuring, or what we're actually testing and what we're actually measuring. Monzo is definitely a design-driven company, but we're also a data-driven company. So everyone has data tools, everyone learns how to use them. We all really care about, are we actually like making a difference? I was thinking of a great example of like an MVP approach that has worked for us, where we put something out and learned that it was a viable idea. I think something that started out as something that was called CoinJar initially. I thought that was a nice example to share. So about a year ago, one of our backend engineers, he made this hack where we have these pots where you can put money aside. It's kind of like a pocket. You have money on your debit card that you can spend, but you can put money aside into these little pots, and one of our backend engineers made this hack. So if you named one of your pots CoinJar, you would automatically start rounding up change from spending your card. It would automatically round up to be saved into that CoinJar. And there was no UI built for it. There was nothing visible. Like we didn't put any like front-end work on it. He just made this hack, and we tweeted about it. I think we wrote about it on the forum, and word spread. And a lot of people created this kind of like named their pot CoinJar and started using it and really loved it. So we thought, okay, this is cool. People want this. So then we had a squad focus on it for a while, and they kind of cleaned up. They obviously built some UI around it so it's discoverable. So they made like a little switch in the pot settings so you can turn around. We started calling it roundup, so you can turn roundups on. We made little badges for the transaction feed, so if you make a purchase and the money's rounded up to a pot, you know that where the pennies went. And then I thought that was like a nice example of how something started as small as like a few lines of code to then this kind of feature that now I checked last week when I was preparing for this talk. I checked the data on it, and now like 260,000 people every month use it, and altogether they save £6 million every month by rounding up change. So I thought that was cool. And we test ideas, like when we're experimenting, we test, I could not name all the ways, but like I guess the ones that immediately come to mind are like, we use feature flags, we show new features to new users, we segment, we have these cool backend driven views where obviously when we make a native mobile app, you have to have an app release to change native components. But we have these cool backend driven views where we can change things on the fly, and that helps us kind of get a feel for things a lot quicker. And then once something is kind of going through the different phases. Once it's kind of almost ready, it might be a little rough, but we know it works, and we know we're going to want to put it out. Then it goes into what we call labs, and people who are interested in trying out new things before it's final yet, they can turn the switch on and give it a go. And when we think about Monzo as a product, I think the key thing, we just wrote down our company values recently since we've grown so fast, and transparency was the number one thing that came up in terms of like our company values, but also it's our number one product value, so being transparent. And we want to be open about our ambitions, about what we're doing, and obviously building trust takes time, but you can lose it quickly, so we kind of earn it in every like interaction with the customer. So we need to be open about, for instance, the experiments we're running and what we're aiming for. So we build transparent UI, but we also, if you know Monzo, you know that we have transparent communications as well. We have this like transparent roadmap, and I thought this is one of my favorite things. This is an account called Making Monzo, and we share a lot of early ideas, work in progress, and then we like ask our community for feedback, and it kind of helps us work on the right things. And well, there's also Making Monzo website. This is something I read on Twitter, and I changed it around a lot. I don't think it's a quote anymore, but I made it fit for this purpose. So basically, the point is we all want to know that we're working towards the same thing and the same goal. So yeah, the bigger picture, like where are we actually going? There's a few things that are really important for us to get there. They're a little abstract, but I thought it'd be cool to kind of talk through them. So we use patterns and platforms and systems, and those all help us scale as both our company and the user base grows so fast. So the first thing is patterns. So back when we were one product team of 10 people sitting around a table, it was easy for everyone to be on the same page, but now we have 15 people joining every Monday, and some people work in this area and some people work in this area, and obviously that can really start spreading out. So what we try to do is have everyone think about kind of the patterns that are shared across the product and kind of try to spot them and use them in smart ways everywhere we can. So we share learnings and the patterns we use so that we don't reinvent something in every part of the product. We also there is just one product, it's Monzo, the product, and each part is a feature, so we don't have different products. It kind of keeps it unified. So we share these patterns, so we don't, for instance, if someone's working on a screen with an amount picker and a date picker, or like something with marketplace functionality, we don't have to reinvent that all over the place. I was thinking of patterns that have worked really well in the past. I think I'm kind of locked on the pots now. I think pots, if you know them, they're such like a simple container that can hold anything. So it's just this thing that started out as putting money aside, and now you can put money aside to earn interest on it. You can round up, you can collect money from your friends. There's a lot of things now that you can do, and like kind of no functionality that we've thrown at it has broken it yet. So I think that was something that we got really right from the start by thinking wide. And then next, platform. So this, for a hyper-growth startup, is crucial. So we're kind of all thinking about how can we build this in a platform way. Basically, so if one squad works on something, how can other squads build on top of it? So we've really started doing this, kind of trying to enable other people around us. So we have, I was trying to think of what are all the platforms. I'm sure I missed about 20, but there's like a notification platform, lending platform, mobile platform, design platform. We also have a dedicated product platform squad now that's only focusing on building the space and tools for other squads to build amazing features and kind of help our users discover them. And finally, systems. So obviously, each feature that we add to Monzo, which is known as a simple and easily understandable product, each feature that we add, it needs to fit into the system, but also it will affect the system as a whole. So we need to think about kind of how that goes both ways. And I think engineers are like naturally really good at thinking about this, but it's good for all of us across roles to kind of keep the entire system in mind when we add anything, basically. So then that way we can also like preemptively solve some future problems by thinking ahead. So there's something that we recently started talking about, is like unlocking combo bonuses down the line. So if we do things right, then it'll just like fall into place. So where are we going with this? So we talk a lot about building a financial control center because money is really stressful and nobody likes life admin, and there's just so much there that we can solve. And having it all in one place is a big step. So bringing kind of visibility of all your money into one place, but not like this. So this is a Gulfstream airplane, and obviously not everyone can fly this, and this is not what we want to like build towards. So, but what we can do is like kind of move mountains in the background and do all the hard work, so that things are simple for the user and they don't need to deal with all these dials and switches. So again, I was thinking of an example. I think I'm going to go with a non-design one for this. I think our terms and conditions are really great. You can see them if you sign up to Monzo. You have to accept them, or once you're a user, you can go and check them out. They're just 800 words long and with a reading age of 11. So we took something that like, traditionally hasn't been cared about, like terms and conditions, and we made them great. And anyone can understand them and know what they're signing up for and what all the details are. We're not hiding anything. So we're building something like this, car dashboard. So there's just everything you need, nothing more. And yeah, there's warning lights, but they only come on if needed, and we're not going to freak you out with too much interface. So we talk about making our customers like effortlessly financially savvy and always being better off with Monzo. So we want to make sure everyone gets the most out of their money. If they're like saving money or need to borrow money, or they're just having a big night out with their friends, like we want to make all that as smooth as possible. And a lot of this is stuff we'll need to invent because it's not been done before, and I think that's the really cool part. So we've now built a bank account, we've won some awards, and now we get to build all this amazing stuff on top of it and make it all work together. And something we talk a lot about is that we want to make people say like, oh, I can't believe my bank did this for me, or I can't believe banks haven't always done it this way. Like that's what we want to hear. And it's obviously not going to be easy, but it will be amazing. So, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.